Well, I want to apologize in advance. I'm going to attempt to take this video a little bit slower and try and get it done in one take so that I don't have to edit it. I just got done mowing and sweeping, and some of the things that have taken up my time and why I haven't been able to get a proper planting update video is the weather and these things. We had a whole lot of water come down, historic rainfall, and in between that, somewhere in the middle, I'd been able to mow every now and then we got a bunch of rain and I wasn't able to mow, and I started to be able to mow where I could, and the steering gear stripped out on my mower. So I ordered a new steering gear, and that took about a week to come in. Meanwhile, obviously I don't have anything to mow with. So the steering gear came in and I didn't notice until it was too late that it was the wrong gear, even though it had the right part number on it. But by that time, the mower was all torn apart up on stands in the garage, and ended up having to get a refund from that seller, and then ordered the right part from another guy. That came in, and then I've continued to have issues with making the new parts work. I ended up having to modify some stuff. But anyway, so finally today I was able to get out here and mow, and I don't think you can really tell, maybe if you look at the back fence line over there, but I had 8 to 10 inches or better, not counting the Dallas grass, because it grows in clumps that's a few feet high. Really not what these things are designed to cut. So this is an older mower that I had that I usually just use to pull around the sweeper. You can see there's no mower deck on it. So I ran the mower around, and because of the amount of grass that was here, I had to then follow it back up with the sweeper to get all the stuff off the ground. And we blew the rear end up in that today. So I guess we'll start there. So corn, which as you can see is completely flooded again in the middle of June. I know corn loves water, but I don't believe corn loves water that much. These were planted months ago. They should be 4 feet tall by now, but we've had so much water. They're growing better than they did last year, and I attribute that to, I dug out a foot of this and then backfilled it with all compost, and we actually got some germination this year, and it started off really good, and then it's just been flooded for months. So I don't know where we're going to end up here. I haven't had a chance to do a proper planting update video. I will link the video from when we actually planted the garden. But things are growing super weird this year anyway. These are both peppers. They're Anaheims. And as you can see, those are store-bought. Almost everything else that we planted, that we started, has either not really taken off or it has died. These tomatoes are store-bought. We haven't had to buy anything from a store as far as starts in 5 years or better. We always just rely on the seeds that we save, and if we want to try something new, we'll buy some new seeds. Nothing that we started this year really grew well enough. I'll show you some examples here in a minute, but again, these are all store-bought tomatoes. I do know that they need to be pruned. I am absolutely behind the ball here with that. I think these are Mountain Magics. I'm not really sure what any of the rest of them are. Although since they're store-bought, we have tags. Super fantastic. We'll see, won't we? They are doing fairly well. Everything is fruiting, and I'm happy with that. I have no idea what I'm going to do with the amount of tomatoes that we have, because boy do we have a lot. The only thing that's really growing this year is tomatoes. So here's an example. This is one of our starts from this year, and this plant came from the store. This plant was about that big when we bought it. Everything that we started, all of our cucumbers, all of our melons, all of our pumpkins, everything came out super stunted and died. So out here in what a couple years ago was where my chicken coop was, I set up a single row. We have a couple of tomatoes out here. Some of these are actually volunteers. We didn't plant them. There's supposed to be some onions somewhere in here, but I'm not sure if they've survived all of the flooding that we had. The mound, everything's dead except for some wild lettuce, some wildflowers, and a single tomato plant over here. We can make our way out to the fruit trees. So the pears, the rust is considerably better so far this year. So I think what we're doing between the spray and ripping off the leaves when we see them, that's working. There's some stuff here. There's a little bit of fruit. There's not a whole lot. The plum tree, we had about 5 early in the year that I saw, and then the birds got them, and that's it. So that's really not doing too great. And then the pear tree that we have, again, so far the leaf curl is doing really well. And I think I've got one oh, nope, look, there's 2. Boy, we're doing good this year. All right, so that takes care of all of the planting stuff that we have. The chickens are being chickens. There's not a whole lot going on with them other than they have a bunch of grass clippings that are in the chicken run right now. I know I've gone over that in the past. And that leaves the last thing with the meat birds. And some of these guys have gone to freezer camp already because they want to make a bunch of noise, and my neighbors aren't okay with that. So we've processed 6 of them so far. Basically, we just start with whoever's the loudest and go from there. The more noise they make, the faster they go. These were all roosters because we ended up needing to buy chickens in the great bird flu scare of 2025, and there was absolutely nothing available to purchase. And we kind of figured, well, it's better to have something as opposed to nothing. We chose something, which was all roosters, and for the amount of money that we have in with feed, this really hasn't worked out. These are very, very expensive chickens, and they give us very, very small breasts as compared to the Cornish cross or even some of the other. I mean, roosters are, in our experience, typically a leaner bird anyway, but this just didn't really work out. So anyhow, that's about what I've got for updates. I'll see if I can get this posted today. Enjoy.